Hey crafters, it's me, Jen Evers with Quality Crafts, and it's Free Play Friday! I'm super excited to be here with you guys because that means that we're just beginning another weekend. So I want to say hi to Penny, thanks for coming, and Deanna Goldie and Dawn Taylor, Paulette. Hello guys, thanks for coming. Anybody who you see in the live chat who is blue and has a little like wrench next to them, they are moderators, so we're always glad when they show up so that they can help us out. And we are creating a watercolor, but instead of stamping and embossing in black, we're stamping and embossing in silver. Look at that. Looks really, really cool. Now, I did some of these in watercolor and I did some of these with markers. So we're going to try a little bit of both today. The watercolor that I'm doing is Distress ink. You smoosh the Distress ink and then spray it with a little bit of water and use that as an ink. You can use ink refills to do that. Practically anything that you have, and then I have a little bit of water here that I'm using. And so I believe this one was a little bit more of a watercolor. There's a lot of different ways you can do this, a lot of different colors you can use. Snowy Michigan, huh? Hi Maureen and Barbara, Jennifer. Hello Dawn, Linda Landis, Kiki, and Dawn again. So yeah, I hope you guys will have fun making these. You could do them pretty much any color you want. I've decided that I really like the blues and the reds the most. Like this blue one with the silver is just really quite stunning, I think, and the teal. So it is really, really cool. So these are the things that we're going to be doing today. There's three stamps that are linked in below. Hi, Sandia. And so these are the three stamps that are linked below. I've got two that I've done out of these stamps right here. This one's Penny Black, the one on the right here. And it's neat because it's got this little banner here, and then you can stamp these little sentiments into the banner. And then this one's got some flowers on it. And then there's another one that I have not done a project with, but I'd like to, because I think this would turn out really cool if we did that one the same. Hi, Monica. Oh, I thought there was a hair on me. Have you ever had like a little hair like on your hand or your arm and you can't find it? It was wigging you out. Kind of how I felt. So you're going to need a stamp, of course. Some Versamark ink. Where did I put that other thing? Ah, there we go. Your silver embossing powder, of course. And I keep mine in little containers like this because it's easy to dump it back in. And then I can just keep reusing it and scooping it. And I just have like a little measuring spoon in there. And then, of course, your heat gun, which I've got right up here. It's my heat gun. And I did mention that we're using some Distress inks. So I'll probably use a few of these. I'm not sure which colors tonight, and a little bit of water. And we're going to use markers as well. And maybe if we've got time, mess around with some other things and see what kind of looks we can get. But the whole point of this one is, and all I did was title this one Silver Embossing with Watercolor Card Front Tutorial, because we're using the silver embossing instead of the black, which is something that we typically do. And then I started out using the watercolor, and then I added in some markers a little bit later on. So we're going to create this fun card background, which also could be called the card front. And we're going to be doing silver embossing, and we'll come up with a couple of different fun techniques using what we can find around our craft room. So if you don't have watercolor, maybe you have markers. If you don't have markers, maybe you've got colored pencils. Maybe you have Inktense pencils. Those work too. Maybe you have ink refills. What else? What else could we use? So I'm going to probably use my Ohuhu markers and my Spectrum Noir markers. And you can use any kind of inks in the smoosh technique. So I'm going to pull down. Actually, I think I'm going to go down here and grab a bigger. I have a black out, but it's not quite big enough. So let me grab a bigger one. So a black like this is what I'm talking about. And all you do is smoosh whatever kind of ink that you have right onto here, and then spray it with a little bit of water and use it as an ink with one of these brushes that you can refill with water. And mine are well loved. This is a newer one that I have, but you can see these that I've had for years. This one's pretty much stained black, but I still use them. But those are very, very much loved. I love these things. I've got a bunch of other ones too, but those are the three that I have been using the most lately. So typically we get started at 5 minutes after the hour. I think I had a chance to say hi to pretty much everyone I could see in the live chat today. Hope I didn't miss anybody. But we'll give some other people a little bit of time to get in here. So let's talk a little bit about what's happening in the quality craft world here. Hi, Maureen and Elise. Basically, we are going to discontinue the card, what do you call it? They pretty much were card challenges on the blog, although you could make any kind of project whatsoever. But it's just the work that goes into running that is just so immense that for what we get out of it, that it just isn't something that I want to put all my energy into at this time. I'd rather put my energy more into the content and the things that I'm going to share with you in the live videos here. Let's talk a little, just briefly, 30 seconds to a minute, about Patreon. So a lot of people are like, well, why are you using Patreon? Why not just do like PayPal, where we just send you money straight through a PayPal? Here's the thing about that. I use Patreon because even though I have to pay some fees for that, and they've decided not to add on fees to you guys. So just so you know, that was nixed. They're going to talk to us and find out another way of doing that. They need more funds or whatever it is, that the reason why they need to do that. So the reason why I use Patreon is simply the fact that it keeps track of everything for me. It keeps track of what level you're pledging at, how much you've pledged since the beginning you started pledging, whether or not your pledge went through for that month. Then it lets me put out posts to you guys, and it lets me choose, am I going to put this out as a public post? Is this going to be just for dollar pledgers? Is this going to be just for $2 level pledgers? Things like that. I can't keep track of all that and do all these sorts of things on, if I choose to do something like through PayPal or whatever. Then I would have to literally create a file, make sure that I'm watching out all of your names. I'd have to go in and check and double check if you paid for that month and all that stuff. It would just be so much extra time out of my time that I think that the whole point of why I'm trying to go full time and why I'm being on the YouTube live with you guys and doing all this stuff, I think it would just really detract from that. And so that's why I choose Patreon. It helps me organize everything and keep track of it in a really tidy manner. They're always updating and upgrading and adding things that they think will help us work smarter, not harder. So I hope that you guys will understand that. I'm going to keep going with them, and that's my reason why. And so it's 5 after, and I really like to get this project started, so let's go ahead and do that. So I said in the beginning, in case you missed it, that you'll need some of the stamps. Any kind of stamps you have will do, but you just want something to have some kind of open space. I prefer florals. I just like the way it looks. This one has a lot of open space. You can find all 3 of these linked down below. And then you're going to need probably a block or a mat where you put your ink down. Silver embossing powders, that's the color we're using today. Some Versamark for that. And then also your heat gun. And then I'm going to use a water source, which is my rinse well. And some distress inks, which I said you can use any kind of inks that you have. It's really not going to matter. Eventually I'm going to get into using, I'm going to start with one of these. Probably some markers and some other things too. See what other kind of looks that we get. Thanks, Kathy, so much. She said she totally understands how important it is for me to use Patreon. In the beginning, I was just like you. I was skeptical. I was like, they're going to charge fees and stuff. But here's the thing. If I went to another business platform, they would charge me to use that as well. So it's fine with me to pay a few pennies on every single pledge to have that software that runs everything for me and keeps me here with you guys instead of, you know, running all the numbers and stuff, which just makes my head spin. So yeah, I think it's really beneficial. I am going to need a bigger block than that because I'm going to use this ginormous flower. I have all my blocks below here. I love my rinse well too, Kathy. See if I can get it in the camera here. So this is what it looks like. It's got this little little well here, and this little button lets all the water leak down underneath. And so that way you can rinse your brushes and then rinse it down into the reservoir underneath. And then you just continue to fill this and dump the bottom. And so that way you don't have to have like a water source super nearby. You can use that, and it lasts for a few days, a week, depends on how much water you use. It does eventually evaporate, so if you leave it for long periods of time and don't use it at all, of course your water is going to disappear some. So here's the stamp that I want to use. I'm using white Nina cardstock, 110 pound, and I've already cut mine down to card front size or card base size, and I'm going to put some Versamark on here too. I also do, Kiki says that many crafters do special videos under Patreon. She likes the idea of it, especially if it's only available for a few bucks a month and it's worth it to get the juicy stuff. So I do my exclusive videos in the patron group. So if you are a patron of Patreon of mine, then you get into the private group. And that's where I do my exclusive videos. So I get what you're saying. I could also post them on that format as well. A lot of people find it easier to find me on Facebook. I think that's why I stick with that more than posting a ton of stuff on the Patreon site. I don't know, but that's something that I can think of adding into in 2018 as well. The other thing that's coming is going to be... Penny's gonna have to help me out again with this too. I should have written it down. Oh my gosh, what is it? Help me out, Penny. I know you know what I'm talking about. God darn it. It's a digital stamp. What do you call it? I cannot think of it. Anyway, everyone that starts in the beginning will get the first image for free. And then as long as you use it and post it, then you get the next month's image for free. And it just goes on and on. Hello from Indiana. I gotta move this out of the way. It's just totally impeding this. All right, so this is the silver. We're gonna go ahead and heat emboss this. Alrighty. Progressive digis. Oh, okay. So now we can see that's all been embossed. I love the look of that. So we're gonna go ahead and use Barn Door, which is a red. Like I said, I just think that the red looks pretty fantastic. So that's gonna be awesome. We're gonna be doing the Progressive Digi Challenge. And then we're going to move what we've had in the patron group, our sketch challenges. We're going to move those to the KTC group, the general group, and then anybody can enter them. And I believe we're going to start out with just one a month. We could always go more than that if it becomes a big hit. And then if you are a patron, there's going to be a prize, like a random pick prize for patrons who enter. So that'll be an encouragement that if you can enter if you're in KTC, but the only people that are getting prizes are the patrons because they're the ones that support me. I hope you guys find that makes sense. I'm just going to put some water down here first. And then I'm going to go into this and let that water spread on through there. Okay, and do that with my other petals. Add a little bit more red. Let that leak through the petal. So if you want even more red, you just go ahead and re-ink your block. I know it's hard for me to, or hard for you guys to see though. Let me move this over and set it on my towel. There's all my red ink that's on there yet. I think it looks coolest, and this is my personal preference, when you use the colors really, really dark. You can try doing some pastel colors and stuff and do whatever you think looks cool to you. I just really love the dark. So it's going to take some time to dry, I'm sure. So I've really put a lot of water in there. And I'm going to add in a lot of ink here. And then I just use my towel and wipe it off. Even though it stains my towel, I really don't mind. I just throw them, these are flour sack towels and they like soak up water really, really well. And then I want to do yellow in the middle. But my yellow ink is pretty kind of a dull yellow and I want it to be a lot brighter. So I'm just going to pick this yellow and I'm just going to color this in. This is one of the Ohuhu markers. Just kind of a bright yellow. So I want that to be bright yellow. Yep, and then Penny reminded me we are going to do an honorable mention for KTC members. And so you'll be your name will be posted. We'll post your picture if you get chosen and that type of a thing. I just think it's going to be super fun. And it'll be something that gets us going and keeps us moving in that group. So if you guys have other ideas, please feel free to private message me anytime to talk to me about things that you think would make the group a lot more fun to hang out in. We already do swaps, and Pamela Hugger Wilbur runs that, and she does an amazing job. Cheers. Thank you to everybody who was here tonight. I know with all the holidays coming up, it's been a little bit hard for people to show up to some of the videos. Now you can see that's really going to look watercolor, and there's a lot of water still sitting there, but look at the variation we're getting already. So I'm going to set this one aside, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp out another one so we can do more than one, obviously. I love Free Play Friday where we can just like hang out and do this stuff together. And it doesn't have to be stressful for anybody. We're just having a good time. Maybe learning some new things that we haven't done before. Let me go ahead and remove this guy. I love these new stamps. Oh, that new stamp smell. Hi, Eva. Merry Christmas. Absolutely. Oh my gosh, I love this stamp too. All right, another piece of paper. Again, I'm using white. I don't even know what I'm using. Thanks, Julie. So I'm using Nina cardstock. That's 110-pound white cardstock. Let me move this guy out of the way. Versamark ink. The Rinsewell should be linked below in the description box. If it is not, it's definitely linked at my store, qualitycrafts.com. Upper right hand corner, click on store, and then scroll all the way down to the bottom where the Amazon links are, and it's in there. But I'm almost positive that we did link it below here in the description box. You should be able to find it there pretty easily. So we're going to go ahead and stamp that. Oh, thanks, Julie. I always thought before I got my Rinsewell that would be kind of a waste for me, and it's like one of the tools I use the most, like all the time. So to me, it was not a waste of money. It wasn't one of those things that you buy and it sits in the corner. So if you're wondering about that, I think it's something that you would use for sure. Trying to keep this over here so you guys can see it. I should have used my my static bag. My embossing buddies. I forgot again. But here's, I'm blowing on a little bit. Here's what you can do if you don't have your embossing buddy near you. This one's wet, I can't use that. I gotta use a dry one. Grab a little paintbrush that's dry, like this one, and then just go ahead and knock off the stuff that you don't want sticking there. And then I just blow it off. That cleared it up some. I may have gotten rid of a few little lines, but I'm not too concerned about that because I'm more concerned about the flowers and stuff. I do like that butterfly as well. It's pretty cool. I gotta get my seat back here where we are. Okay. There we go. Now for this one, I really want to do this butterfly. I want to pop him up. Oh, let me show you that this all did emboss. But I'm going to pull that guy back out and I'm going to go ahead and emboss him a second time. I'm just going to put him on a separate piece of paper here. And while this is straight up like this, I want mostly just the butterfly. So I'm just going to go ahead and press it down like this with my fingers. And this is something you can do with really big background stamps too if you don't have a block like this. Just go ahead and lay it down upside down like this, ink it up, and then use your fingers to press it down. And then you get a really nice impression every time. So I'm going to move that out of the way. And we're going to go ahead and emboss this one again so I can use that butterfly to go on top. That turned out pretty awesome. And then make sure you're snapping on your top too of your embossing powder so you don't get that blown all over the place. Paulette says, can you use other inks besides distress inks? Absolutely, any kind of inks you have will do. Alrighty. Hi, Tarita. So now we've got that one and plus an extra one. We're going to go ahead and do these as well. I'm going to do a blue. I don't have, oh, I have Blueprint Sketch. Let's try that one. It's a dark blue. Super dark blue. I'm going to do the flowers in a bright blue. This one is also a distress ink called Blueprint Sketch. I would love to have the oxides, you guys, but I still have not bit the bullet and bought those bad boys. If you want a more watercolored look or washed out look, spray water all over this. But I want a deeper, darker look, so I'm not gonna do that. But I definitely am gonna rinse my water down and bring some more in, because otherwise I'm gonna have purple I think. Wow, look at that water. Just take that all around. They're so cool. I hope you guys can see what I'm doing with that. So I'm bringing in my water first. I'm putting down a water base, and of course my water is turning blue because I've been putting a lot of blue in there. Then I'm going back into my ink and just tapping the darker blue of the ink in there and letting the water take it where it will. I'm not really doing a lot of painting or moving of anything. Really, the water does all the work for me. So you put water on that petal and then a little bit of blue and just touch it on there and watch the water move it around. So much fun. It's just really fun that you don't have to be perfect, you know? That's the cool part about it. No perfection needed. Just tap it in. I like that. Shall we do another color? I think we should do another color. I'm going to wipe off that blue. Do you get pitting in the embossing? I haven't gotten pitting in the embossing. I'm not really sure what you're referring to, but where did that other one? This one's soaking in. It's still wet, but look, like the water sitting on top is not there. But look at the variations we got in those petals. That looks really fun. How to get my embossing to look so good? I don't know. Like, okay, so like this embossing turned out kind of funny on the bottom, and all I did was use a paintbrush to brush it off. The whole thing is that you want to make sure that you get a really good impression when you stamp. And use, by all means, use an embossing buddy if you have one beforehand. I'll show that maybe on the next one. So before you stamp, this is my homemade embossing buddy with a sock. Before you stamp, to get the best impression, so you don't have all that extra powder all over the place, just go ahead and rub that all over your paper to get rid of all the oils from our fingers and stuff like that. Then stamp the Versamark and then put your powder on. And I think that that's the best way to do it, is just to make sure that whatever you're stamping with, that you stamp the impression well. And if you use a static bag like I haven't been doing, that will help you out a lot. Just that I always forget to use mine. Becca says make sure to juice up your Versamark or embossing ink pads more, because the juicier they are, the better of an impression stamp that you'll get, and then your embossing will be better. Thanks, Becca, for that tip. Oh, what's in my embossing buddy? I just put baby powder in my embossing buddy. You see it coming out? I just have baby powder. You can use cornstarch or whatever you have around the house. I like the baby powder because it smells so powdery fresh in here now. So this is already starting to dry. And look at how pretty those flowers are. So cool. Alrighty. I want to add a different color. Let me see what I've got that would look really cool. I don't have a super dark purple. Oh, yes, I do. Okay, so let me show you that you can use a different, let me pull this one out. I believe this one is a dark purple. It says pale violet. All right, let me open that one and see if that's truly, it looks like a dark purple. Let's try this one. It's not really quite as dark as I was hoping, but that's okay. So I'm going to go ahead and smoosh this one. Yeah, it's not super dark. It's almost like a light, it's a pale, that's kind of what it turns out to be. Two-tone stamping, first generation, second generation stamping. So let's give this a shot. Let's put some water all over this flower. And then add some of that. Oh wow, look at that. That is so pretty. And all you have to do is just touch it with that color of whatever you want, and it just runs all over the place. It's so cool. Let's do this one too so that we've got two that match. Oh my. So cool. I really like that color. That turned out really awesome. Okay, let's do a little bit of green for the leaves. And I keep moving this around because it's kind of chilly down here, so I've got this little like wrap. Do you see this? It's got pockets on the side, so I can either wear it on my lap or I can wear it around my shoulders so I stay warm down here. Oh, so I already mentioned what I used in my sock, and that is baby powder. And we need a green. I'm going to use peeled paint because it's kind of like old olive, which is another color I totally adore. I love the smell of the baby powder. I think that is just such a cool idea. But you can use cornstarch or whatever you have around the house for yours. That was way too much water. Run that around. This already has like some little dots where it's supposed to be a little bit darker. So you could follow that too if you buy this stamp and you're not really sure how to do it. You could just follow the darker spots where they're little dotted areas, and that'll work out well too. I know there's some that I'm missing that should have been blue, but that's okay by me. All right. Let's just go ahead and do the butterfly orange, because I haven't done anything orange. I'm going to use that other ink too. So I'm switching back and forth between Tim Holtz Distress Inks and then also these. These are called Marvy Matchables. And this one is just plain orange, number 7 orange. Katie said that if you're having problem with embossing, that you can also heat from the underside of the paper so that your powder doesn't blow off. That sounds like a pretty cool idea. I like to do that with ultra embossing ink, UD, ultra thick embossing enamel, because that stuff is more like coarse salt, and if you don't do that, it will blow all over the place and just gets crazy. Cheers. Oh my gosh, Barbara Eastock. Or you could put in Dr. Scholl's foot powder. Just kidding. We hunted for stamps that would be good for this project today. And I think we found some really good ones. I did the orange on this butterfly, but this one what I'm going over right now, this is the one we're going to cut out and put over the top. So I'm going to put a little red on here and add a little red to the middle of him. Cheers, guys! I forgot to cheer you guys. Sorry. And I'm going to put a little red on the inside here so it kind of Oh, that's pretty. Okay, so that's going to go on there. There's going to be a little touch of red in there to make that stand out. I could, you know what, maybe even make that run together a little bit more. That's pretty. Just by adding a little bit of water. Maybe a little bit of red down here. Oh, look at that. So cool. So pretty. All right. I'm going to set these aside to dry. I'll pull back out this one. And I'm going to fussy cut this one out. Where are my little guys hiding? There they are. It is super shiny. You see that? Super shiny. So I'll try not to cut off any of the super shiny embossing powder while I go around these. I'm going to fussy cut this one out because I want to put this one on a card. Just as is. Just this big flower right in a card. I think it would look really cool. We'll create this card, and then hopefully the other ones will be dry enough that we can work with them, and then we'll make another card. And then we'll wrap it up today after we make our cards. This one is still wet. I can feel it because I put tons of water on it. I just really like the way that water runs away with the color. I can't help myself. I get so excited and I just can't hide it. Awesome. Look at that. So cool. You could actually go in and do more layers too if you wanted a deeper red. Do you see how dark this red turned out? Like you could go back in and do even more red if you wanted to. So this would be a card front or a card base, and I could put that right on the middle like that. Would look so cool. I want to like roll these up. So I'm going to just make a little cut down the middle here of each one of my petals so that they'll roll up a little bit more. Not all the way down, just, you know, about halfway or so. And then I want to roll it up. I'm going to use a pencil because I don't want to go crazy. Let's just give it a little bit of dimension. And then if you hit it with the heat gun, it will stay somewhat curled. So I don't want mine too curled, but I want it enough that I could push it back the way I want it. That looks really cool. I'm going to hit it with the heat gun so that it'll become more rigid again and stay where it's at. Hello, Heidi. So that'll stay. That'll actually, like, it hardened that way because I made the paper wet. And then I could put that there and I could draw on some leaves and stuff. We could even watercolor some leaves. But let's go ahead and just glue this down for now. I think I'm gonna pop him up. Why not? We can. Let's go ahead and pop him up. You could add glitter to this. You could do all sorts of fun stuff with this. I'm going to add probably some leaves to this later on. But there he's popped up. And glitter. I'm going to use the Nouveau glitter. Why not? I've got this one that's clear. The name is kind of misleading because it's, what's this name? It's called White Blizzard. but it's really kind of clear. And I'm gonna go ahead and white blizzard up the center of this. And I'm using my finger to kind of smoosh it in because I don't want the lines from the tip of the bottle to show. I just want it to be, you know. Ooh, I just flung my ink. Oh, I'm an ink flinger. Don't be an ink flinger. So that was a Nuvo drop. Otherwise, I use stickles. I use Star and Diamond the most. And I'll show you that you can see that it's shiny. Glittery goodness. And we'll add some leaves and stuff if we get time. There are a few leaves. Let's see, pull this back out. You can see better on here. So there's these 3 leaves on here. They're kind of small though. Like I would want like a bigger leaf. So if I thought about, let me think. I'm wondering if maybe I have a stamp or a punch of a leaf that will work out just as well. I know I have one big one. I've got some little teeny ones that are not going to float my boat today. There it is. I found it. I had to pull this bad boy all the way out just to get to that one. Okay. So this is another stamp that I have. I mean a punch. This one is not linked below because I did not plan on using this one. So I'm just going to randomly do some peeled paint and then clip out some leaves. Not sure how many I want, so I'm just do a bunch. Okay. And then I really think that these would, yeah, they'll do nicely with that. Maybe just 2, or do I want 4? What do you guys think? 2, 4, I don't know. I think this would look really fun too if we crumpled them. And it's a lot easier to crumple this thicker cardstock if you wet it down a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and put this. Crumple it up a little bit. It gives it a little bit of texture, and that way it'll stick up a little bit. Can you tell the difference between the flat one and the one that I just did? It's hard to show you in the video with them sitting there, but this one is a lot more textured and bumped up. It looks really cool. So let's go ahead and do that to another one. I really like the look of that. So when I'm done here, like I normally will do every Friday, is go back over to the Quality Crafts group that's over on Facebook, and I will set up an album so that you guys can put whatever you came up with tonight, or whenever you watch this video, you can come over there and put your creation right into the group's album. So you just go to photos on the upper left hand corner, you go to photos, and then when that pops up in the upper left hand corner, you're going to see a little thing that says albums, and then you'll find the one that'll say silver embossing with watercolors, and there'll be an album there, and then in the upper right hand corner you just click on it. It says to add photos, and then you go ahead and add photos, right? Super simple, really easy to do. Yeah, the crumpled looks really cool, doesn't it? So I'm going to add a little bit of wet glue to these and pop a couple under there. Then you have to look for the parts that are mostly raised so that you can get a good adherence to the paper, obviously, if you crumple it. You can do color behind there too. I just thought that would be kind of striking, just having the white background and just the flowers. We could have stamped something underneath there, whatever your little heart desires. I'm hoping that you guys will try this with some stamp sets that you have at home that you maybe never thought of. And then come on over to Quality Crafts and post your awesomeness. I'm hoping that that'll stick. So that looks really cool. Super cute. So this is just a card front, and I can adhere it to any kind of card when I'm ready to go ahead and finish that off, you know. So let's go ahead and bring these guys back in. Hopefully we've got, yeah, look at that. Look how pretty. And then we've got this little guy, and he's gonna go on the top. So we're gonna go ahead and fussy cut him out for sure. And just like I did this one, where's my extra one here? So we're gonna do something like this today. This one I did with the other stamp that we haven't used today. And I actually made a card out of it. So that is a full finished card. Really cute. This one is a finished card. It goes off the top of the regular sized A2 card, so it's a little bit bigger. And then I just put some silver, I don't know, some paint. I think that came from Deanna, gave me that. And then, so that's a finished card too. So we've got 2 finished cards here using the two of the stamps that are linked below. This one is the other one that's linked below, this big flower. Okay, and so let's go ahead and finish this one. We're probably not going to have a time to put them all on cards. We'll just get this ready to roll so that when I need a card, I can pop it on and then pick a sentiment. So I can get super close with this one, and I'm going to cut his little head off because his head is going to show on here as well as his little antenna. So I'm not going to cut off his little antennae either. I'm not going to cut them out, you know, fussy cutting, because it's already on the paper, on the one underneath. You didn't even have to really watercolor this one underneath if you don't want to. This little bottom part of his, I think I will keep that part intact. And finish up around the wing. Like I said, don't get too bent out of shape on this kind of project with perfection, because the imperfection in the watercolor look makes it look really cool. And I said that we were going to go ahead and be able to do some markers too, so I might just quickly here, I don't remember the name of the silver embossing powder I put in there. But any kind of embossing powder that you can get at Michael's or Joann's is basically what I use. So I think they all work pretty much the same way, just as well as any other brand. I've never found a brand where I've had to say, that's a really bad brand, don't buy that. I've never come across that. I've always had pretty good luck with any of the brands I've tried. So now I'm just trying to push down that glue and give him a chance to adhere to that paper and line him up with the little body on the bottom. And then his little wings will lift up like that. So that is super pretty. And then again, this stamp set has the little sentiments that you can stamp in right here. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and cut around this one as well. I'm just going to do a little bit of cutting because I might want to go ahead and distress the edges here, so I'm going to want a little bit of the edge left. So I'm just going to cut it down to about that size. Looks like a neat little square. Experiment with all the different kind of inks and colors that you have and see what works out really well for you. And then head on over and join us on Quality Crafts and post what you came up with, because we want to learn from you guys as well. I'm just going to do a little cleanup here because I'd like to do, with the last 10 minutes or so, stamp the one that we didn't do. Yeah, let me move this one over. Now let me show you this one without a block. I do have a huge block for this, but let's say you don't have a huge block for this. Just turn it upside down like this. I'm gonna move these out so you guys can see. Okay, just move it upside down like this. Get your piece of paper, cut to a size that's big enough. This is just a regular A2 size paper, 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, so that should work out really well. And then ink it this way without even using a block. I've got it on some slippery stuff. Just ink it up really well. And I showed this a little bit earlier in the video too, but it bears mentioning again. Then you just, without even having to, you know, flip it over or whatever, just put the paper right on top. Just make sure that once you put it down, you're not moving it around, because otherwise you're going to get, you know, one of those looks like you jumped and you get like double vision. You get like a blurry one, and that will not be fun. So just take your hand. If you're going to move one hand, keep one hand still so your paper doesn't slide. And then hold the other one and get the other side, the top and the bottom. And then grab a corner while you're holding it down and lift up in one whole movement. If you don't do that, you might actually set it down and do another little blurred, make another little blurred or double stamp, and you'll have double vision. It'll look really funky. And then we're just going to put our embossing powder on it again. Again, I didn't use my embossing buddy, but I'm not doing like black on white or white on black, which really shows imperfections, holy man. But if there's anything that I don't like, or even if there's a part of it that I was like, okay, I don't want these words, I could actually go ahead and, you know, wipe off all these words and get rid of them as well. I think everything looks pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and heat emboss that. I'm ready to roll. We're going to do markers on this one instead of watercoloring, because I mentioned in the beginning that I would try that out with you guys. So let's emboss this and we'll finish off with that. Hi, Carol. All right, and then if you've got a light at your house where you just tip it and look, if there's anything that's not shiny, then you might want to go over it a time or two. Hit it with the heat gun one more time and just see if you can get it to melt all the way. So let's bring over our, oh no, we're going to do markers this time, right? So we already did the ink. I've got a bunch of markers right here. So these are my Ohuhu markers. You can check these out. These are on the store page. Scroll all the way to the bottom to the Amazon links. You can get these alcohol markers. They're just like the Spectrum Noirs in the fact that they've got a fine like bullet tip and then a chisel nib on the other end. And they work very much like Spectrum Noir markers. So we're going to go ahead and do a little bit of coloring on here. And I'm going to do like a dark purple. Make sure that I'm in frame here for you guys. I'll do a dark purple around that part. The parts that actually show where that like shadow should be. That's one of the things, one of the other reasons why we picked these out, because these actually help you to like show where the darker parts should be if that's something that you're interested in doing. And then I'm going to grab one other, like a lighter purple. And blend that out just a tad. I might want to add a little bit of yellow to the center. I like doing yellow centers because it makes everything else pop. That's totally up to you. If you like brown centers, or you want your flower yellow with a purple center, or whatever you want to do, it's totally your call, your art. So there's my yellow flower. That really stands out, doesn't it? Look at that. Totally pretty. Let's try a blue one. And I need a lighter blue to go with this one. Let's see. This one looks good. Yep, that'll work. Let's do this one with some dark on the outside. Oh wow, look at that deep blue. That's really pretty. So pretty. I'm going to make like one side a little bit darker, a little bit thicker, and then bring in that other blue. Could have done one more like intermediate step of a blue. Would have blended those a little bit nicer. Not bad though. Not bad for a two-shot. You know what? That almost seemed to take away a little of the gleam of my embossing powder, didn't it? Check it out. So maybe it's the alcohol on top of there that's making it disappear a little bit. I did a lot of coloring on there though. I didn't do that a lot with the other ones though. Let's see, this one is usually purple too, but let's do a green. Let's do a leaf. There's a dark green. Let's bring in a light green. This is a different kind of a green. I wonder what this looks like. So if you're worried about the sheen disappearing, if you're using alcohol markers, because that seems to take a little bit of away, just try to go around it. Oh, that didn't do so bad. You see it, that it's still there? But I really like colored over the top of this, and look, it started to take away a little bit of the shine. But the leaf looks awesome. That's cool. Super cool. So I'm going to leave these out because I might play with these a little bit later too. You do hear the kitty? Yeah, he's at the top of the steps going, "Let me down! Let me down!" And we're like, no, we need a space in the house where there's not kitty fur everywhere. So let's see. If you guys are interested in the stamps that we use today, they're definitely linked below. There's 3 different ones. This one with the big flower that we used in the beginning. I'm going to pop these back into their packages, and then I'm going to pull out the stuff that we created today. Move my water stuff out of the way. So this was the other one. There's this one. This one. I don't know if you can wipe that off because I'm feeling that, and it's not even coming off on my finger. I don't think that's just a case of just wiping it off. Let's get a I wonder if a baby wipe would make a difference. Let me try a little bit of a wet surface and see if we get see if any of that sheen comes back. Penny says that we could just wipe it off. maybe a little bit of it came back. Check it out. A little bit. Not quite as bright as the other one though, if you look at the other. Yeah, I don't know if I just scrubbed with my marker too hard or what. But there's, oops, let's look at this one. That's this one right here. And we did that. Let me bring you guys out just a tad. There we go. And then this was the one that we did. There we go, with the butterfly. This one's my favorite of the day. Oh, that one turned out so pretty. I love the blue. I just love the blue. So that went out with that. And we did one with this big flower today, which was this one. Super cool. I like the leaves too. That turned out really fabulous. And then the couple that I made as examples beforehand, we've got this one in the reds. Happy birthday one. This card with this stamp right here, which is Stampendous. Does it even say? It doesn't really have a name. It says CRR161. But go ahead down in the description box below. You'll find hold on a second. Penny says with a touch of alcohol. And then here's some other examples. So go ahead and experiment with what you guys have. I want to see you guys posting over at Quality Crafts so that my picture is not the only one in that album. I would really, really like to see what you guys are doing out there. She said a touch of alcohol. Well, I just can't let sleeping dogs lie. I'm going to try that out. I'm pretty sure I have alcohol very close by. I don't know if that's what she was talking about. Are you talking about wiping that off with a touch of alcohol? I'll pull that wipe back out. Let's try that. I don't see much of a difference. But I think you could probably drop alcohol on there and get another whole cool look. I really love how these flowers turned out. I hope you guys do too, these blue ones. Where there's lights and darks, and I didn't have to worry about that because the water and the paint just took care of it all on its own. This one is an amazing card. I could see people thinking that I took hours on that. And how long did it take me? Just a couple of minutes to create that one, right? Go out, you guys, and get yourself some of these stamps. They're so cool. And if you can't afford that, pull out the stamps you have in your stash and start using them. You probably have a whole bunch of them that would work for this that you're like, I forgot I had that. Pull those out and just give them a try. Let's see what you got. So I'm going to wrap it up there. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm always up for listening to ideas that you guys have. So we do a video every Wednesday, in case this is your first time here. That is a 10-minute card using scraps that viewers send in. I have 10 minutes to take that from mailbox to masterpiece in just 10 minutes. And then I stamp the back of the card and I mail it directly back to that person that sent them in. So that's really fun. It's an interaction between you and I so that you don't feel like I'm this, person that's out there that you can't communicate with. You certainly can. Drop me a private message anytime you want. And then every Friday is Friday Free Play, and we do something like this. A technique or a new card fold or whatever, just something fun that we're playing around with every Friday, so we've got something to look forward to. And Patreon is where I have people go if they want to pledge their support to running my channel full time, because that's my goal. That's my end goal, to be here for you guys all the time. And then I also have a store, qualitycrafts.com, so you can go there and get, mostly I sell like really inexpensive tapes, ATG tapes, foam tape like this one, and double-sided sticky tape like these rolls, and that kind of thing. So go ahead and check it out. I'm going to hop over to the Quality Crafts group on Facebook right now and set up the album, and I can't wait to see you there. And I can't wait to see you guys next video.